Whoo boy, what a time to be a fan of MMORPGs. Blue Protocol Star Resident really didn't do too well. The Riot MMO went back to the drawing board. New World is shutting down. Ashes of Creation turned out to be a bigger scam than Santa Claus. Being a fan of MMOs is like being in an abusive relationship. You know things are never going to get better. But I mean, hey, we have new MMORPGs releasing in 2026 and 2027 over the course of the next entire decade, if you factor in the Riot MMO. Today, I'm going to sit here and talk to you guys about MMOs that are confirmed to be releasing in 2026 and 2027. We got about 9, 10 games. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn. Some of these games, one of these games has to be of interest to you, right? Otherwise, you're going to be stuck playing RuneScape, BDO, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14, or WoW. Yeah. Have fun with that. ArcheAge Chronicles is an upcoming online action RPG with shared world MMO elements, developed by XL Games, the creators of the original ArcheAge, and published globally by Kuro Games. It's not a traditional sequel. It was formerly titled ArcheAge 2, but it's a fresh take on the universe. It's also not a true MMORPG necessarily, as they opted to pivot from full MMO to MMO adjacent, kind of like where winds meet, with an emphasis on overworld discovery, full action combat, rather than tab target, and pioneer life in a post-cataclysmic world. This is their take on a single-player action RPG with MMO features like trading, like player housing, which are likely going to be further expanded upon from the original ArcheAge, but on a more intimate scale without the massive Zerg battles, which won't necessarily appeal to the same PvPvE audience of the original ArcheAge game, for better or worse. Platforms include PC, PS5, and Xbox. No mobile has been confirmed at present, but it does look like TapTap, a mobile platform, has pre-registrations open for some reason. Make of that what you will. The game is confirmed to be releasing in the third quarter of 2026, according to Kakao's second quarter 2025 financial report. But I mean, it was also scheduled to release in 2024 and 2023. Yeah, it was coming though. Don't worry, this time is coming. Aion 2 is the upcoming sequel to the classic Aion MMO, developed and published by NCSoft. Yeah, that NCSoft. Yikes. It builds on the original signature flight-based aerial combat and action warfare, the Ilios versus Modians, while modernizing it with Unreal Engine 5 visuals, a much larger world and more freeing flight, hybrid action and tab target combat, and a heavy emphasis on PvE content, rather than the PvE content of the original. The game launched in Korea and Taiwan in November 2025, with an English client available from day one, and was met with severe criticism from players, partly due to it being a mobile cross-platform title, and partly due to the heavy pay-to-win and monetization of the game, which isn't really all that shocking given this is NCSoft we're talking about. The global version, including North America and Europe, is targeted for 2026, likely the second half, mid to late 2026. Platforms also include PC and mobile, with PS5 and Xbox coming in the future if the game does well globally, which, you know what? We'll see. Chrono Odyssey is an upcoming next-generation open-world action MMORPG developed by Chrono Studio and published globally by Kuro Games. Yeah, the very same Kuro Games that are publishing ArcheAge, that also published Aion. Yeah. It is built on Unreal Engine 5 and attempts to immerse players in the dark fantasy world of Cetera, a seamless, dynamic continent warped by time and void corruption where you wield the Chronotector artifact to manipulate time in combat, explore shifting eras, and battle colossal bosses, which is what they claim, because in the beta, you really didn't do a whole lot of that. You kind of just like, you ran around, you attacked some pretty underwhelming monsters, you did the odd boss fight here and there, which were admittedly actually kind of cool if you're into games like Elden Ring or Dark Souls. The game faced significant delays after a rocky 2025 closed beta, but has been undergoing major combat overhauls with a fourth quarter 2026 global launch now targeted. Platforms include PC, PS5, and Xbox. TapTap also lists mobile functionality in Asia, with testing supposedly coming potentially, so we'll have to see what happens there. Dungeon Fighter Overkill, aka Project Overkill, is an upcoming 3D action RPG with multiplayer dungeon crawling elements similar to its predecessor, Dungeon Fighter Online, even being set in the same universe, developed by Neeple and published by Nexon. Set as a prequel 14 years before DFO's events, it shifts the classic 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up style gameplay of the original to full 3D with flashy, combo-heavy combat, still set in the world of Arad. Platforms include both PC and mobile, with full crossplay functionality confirmed. It is targeting a 2026 to 2027 release date at present, as per Nexon's 2025 first quarter financial report. Unfortunately, we have yet to see a global beta of any kind, but it is no doubt on its way. It has to be on its way, right? They're not going to delay this one too. Not again. Not another MMO delay, please, God. Lord of Mysteries is an officially licensed open-world MMORPG adapting the hit Chinese web novel developed by Spark Nexa. The game is being developed in Unreal Engine 5. It is going to recreate the Victorian steampunk occult world of mystery, madness, potions, and pathways to extraordinary powers, starting in Tingen City as a fellow townsman of protagonist Klein the Fool. The first PC closed beta test launched on February 4th in 2026 in China, with very little in terms of gameplay or information servicing afterwards. In spite of its current beta test and the very little known about the game, it is targeting a global release date for late 2026, which is kind of crazy given the game was just announced a couple weeks ago. But so many people in the comment section of my videos always state, I wish these games would just stop announcing when they're years away from actually releasing and would just release when, or just post a video or a trailer when they're ready to release. And it's kind of what they're doing with this. Yo, I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I need to take a moment here to thank all my incredible patrons over on Patreon whose support continues to allow for me to do regular videos like this every single day on this channel. Thank y'all so much, including our YouTube channel members. You guys mean the world to me. So do you guys as viewers as well. Now, without further ado, let's continue. Scars of Honor is an upcoming free-to-play fantasy MMORPG developed and self-published by Beast Burst Entertainment, an indie studio that actually flew myself and a few of my friends, Josh Strive Hayes and Callum Upton, to Bulgaria to preview and test. It emphasizes skill-based combat, hyper-customizable progression via talents, there are hundreds per class, procedurally generated dungeons so the game doesn't get old and repetitive, relatively fair PvP with numerous modes to engage in, all with a strict no pay-to-win premise. Platforms include PC and mobile, with full crossplay functionality in development. They're planning a full launch towards the fourth quarter of 2026. Soulframe is an upcoming free-to-play co-op action RPG with shared world MMO elements, developed and published by Digital Extremes, the creators of Warframe. You'll choose from a variety of different packs which function kind of like classes, while exploring living landscapes, freeing corrupted omen beasts, and combat the world-devouring Old Blight using, honestly, some pretty decent melee and magical abilities. The game is currently in pre-alpha testing with the 2026 roadmap, including major updates like the Prelude 13, their version of essentially alpha testing patches, with a full release date being unconfirmed at present. Platforms will include PC, PS5, and Xbox, with no mobile crossplay functionality or functionality of any kind. Spirit Crossing is an upcoming cozy multiplayer live sim MMORPG developed and self-published by Spryfox, the creators of Cozy Grove. Into storm-swept crosslands, a vast shared realm between human and spirit worlds. Players as wanderers befriend a number of different creatures, and I mean, I am reading this directly from an official source, so that's why it sounds a little bit formal. You befriend a number of different creatures, perform acts of kindness to fend off storms, you harvest, build, and customize villages, and you foster friendships through creative social interactions like fishing tournaments or rooftop music. Yeah, this is an interesting sounding MMO. The game was originally a Netflix mobile exclusive, however, it's now become an independent game with a PC Steam version. A public beta is happening at some point in spring 2026 with full release in late 2026. Platforms include PC and mobile. No cross-platform play will be available at present. Honor of Kings World is an upcoming open-world multiplayer action RPG. Although when I spoke to some of the developers when I was flown out to Gamescom 2025, they told me this is in fact a fully fledged MMORPG where you're going to see other players running around, other players engaging with the world and doing things. It is set in the Honor of Kings universe. You're going to have access to dual classes. You're going to have the option of playing as mages, gunslingers, like mechanical gunslingers. I actually did this live on stage at their booth with which they flew me out to do, by the way, which was insanely cool. There's going to be an enormous open world. There are going to be dungeons. There are going to be raids. This right here is actually probably my most anticipated upcoming MMO of the year. It is confirmed to be releasing globally. It seems as though they have opened registration for a test phase in China right now. The global test is not open. It will be open at some point in the future. They confirmed that the game is launching in China this year. They're also looking to launch globally this year, but they may launch after China. It depends how global receives it and what changes they need to make. It is launching onto PC and mobile. Console has been hinted at. I'm not allowed to really discuss that. I can't really discuss anything in the future because I am under an NDA. I have been sponsored, and I'd like to keep that working partnership I have with them. Kuro Games, the team behind one of the most popular cross-platform gacha games in the world, is creating an open-world action MMORPG. Revealed via 2025 recruitment drives and job postings, it is a new original IP set in a retro futuristic era of machinery and magic. Much like Wuthering Waves, it is being built on Unreal Engine 5, promising fluid action combat, competitive multiplayer aspects. It's currently in its early development stages, with confirmed global along with cross-platform functionality, but details remain pretty sparse. And finally, Hoyoverse, much like Kuro Games, is creating an upcoming open-world fantasy MMORPG as well. Teased in November 2025 via a Chinese recruitment campaign on Xiaohongsha, it looks like it's going to be quite the shift from what players are used to from Hoyo, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, which are all very heavily anime aesthetic RPGs. This, however, is going to be a photorealistic MMO built on Unreal Engine 5. Very little is known about the game currently, as they are working on Honkai Nexus Anima, Petite Planet, Varsapura, but thus far, we've managed to learn that it utilizes dynamic ecosystems, intellectual NPCs, and will feature large-scale PvP and boss fights. It's still very much so in early development with dozens of open positions, no betas or a firm release date yet, but based off of what they've said and hinted at, 2027 to 2028 seems to be a relatively safe date to speculate, especially at the rate that Hoyoverse develop games. And there you go. Those are, I don't even remember how many, 9 different MMORPGs releasing in 2026, 2027, and in some of the cases 2028 and beyond. These are games that may or may not be good, but with how little actually release, or how few release that aren't just mobile slop, at least you have something to look forward to, for better or for worse. Otherwise, once again, you're stuck playing MMOs that have existed for decades. But as I did note, there is Where Winds Meet. Where Winds Meet has been a ton of fun for a lot of players right now, but at the same time, the game is also in a lull period where there's not really much to do. So players are looking for something new to play right now. One of these, well, none of them are available. One of these might be available to play, might be fun to play at some point later in the year. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment, so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.